Hello, everyone. Welcome to BR Center for Excellence in Business English. I'm very happy to meet all of you once again. Today, we have a very special guest with us as a part of the series where we have been talking to a lot of trainers and teachers and teacher trainers. Our guest today is someone who is a product manager at Unext Learning Private Limited, which is a part of the Manipal group. She has worked with several other corporates earlier for over a decade as a trainer. And as a corporate trainer, she has covered around 40 different topics for employees at different levels in organizations. She is also one of my music teachers. She graduated or she got certified as a music teacher from uh, the famous Shankar Mahadevan's Academy. And if you wish to listen to Shankar Mahadevan's generous appreciation for her singing talent, you have to check her Instagram page. And she is also a blogger who writes a lot about the lives of the uh, families of army people and the people who work in the army and so on. Her husband, she is an army wife. Her husband is Major Prashant, who has uh, who has been instrumental in a number of different assignments, and he was involved recently in helping a lot of people in saving a lot of people from a natural disaster that happened in Sikkim. Right now, Preethi is joining us from Sikkim, where all that things that we don't wish to happen did happen, and it did bring people together though. She is currently focusing on DE&I, which is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And that's her topic that she has been exploring for a while now. We'll find out more about all of this from her. So thank you so much for joining us today, Preethi.
Thank you, Balaji, for having me and for the lovely introduction.
My pleasure, Preethi. So to start with, product manager is a role that we don't usually connect with trainers. So could you tell us how training is connected to product management?
Sure. That I was hoping you would ask me that question. So, in my role at Unext, I'm apart from delivering sessions on topics that where I can add value, I also connect with our clients to understand their pain points and design pedagogy for programs. In fact, involved from end to end, right from understanding the requirement from the client, designing a training program, and designing the entire pedagogy. Designing the ROI, making sure the return on investment is met for the client. So this entire process I'm involved in. I've designed many programs, which has given me a lot of insights on what is it that the corporates are looking for today. So I think every program we design, me and my team design, whether it's a behavioral training program, a leadership program, or a lot of technical topics as well. We've designed programs for software architects, etc. So these are all products because there's a lot of thought going behind it. We can say design thinking going behind the designing these products. So that is why we call ourselves product managers of academic product management. So yes.
So you mentioned about pedagogy as well when you were speaking. So could you tell us a little bit more about that? Because if you stick to a certain rule, then that may not work for all the cases. Particularly when it comes to training, it has to be modified every now and then according to the audience. So could you throw some light on that, please?
So very rightly said. In fact, if we run a specific program for multiple batches where the cohorts are varying, we customize. I think customization for content, even in the level of delivery, is required for every single batch, because the requirement of every participant is different. So pedagogy comes in when you're keeping in mind what the participants are looking for, their expectation from the session, the expectation of the program sponsors to put these participants in the session, and of course making sure we are giving them enough takeaways that they can apply. So keeping all these three in mind, when we design a program, we think of the entire pedagogy. So that is what is termed as pedagogy.
You touched upon meeting the expectations. So could you tell us the challenges involved in it, the unrealistic expectations that we come across, and how do we set expectations? Could you tell us more about it?
So because my interest, my specialization is in behavioral training, I think expectation of behavioral training is for the participants to magically transform after a 2 or a 3 day session, or even after a 2 month session, which is very hard to make possible on ground. So behavioral trainings take a lot of time for to have an impact on the participants. Of course, during the classroom trainings, we tell them what are the skills that they need to develop, etc. But to put it to practice and for the entire learning to become a habit, it takes a period of time. So behavioral training, I think the biggest challenge we see, one is to first convince the participants that they need this training because a lot of times the participants don't realize that they need to maybe communicate in a different way, or maybe they need to um, manage their time in different way. There are many aspects of behavioral training, right? So first challenge we face is to convince the participants that this is something they need, and they have to sit through these sessions. They are going to benefit from these sessions. So to convince them to even come into a session becomes a big challenge. Second, a lot of times we see people who are working in hardcore technical roles. It is difficult for them to think of the softer skills when it comes to managing people, managing projects, managing products also. So it's it takes some time for us to let them know. So I think what we do, at least in the first 15 minutes of the session, at least I make it a point to let them know what's in it for them, the entire session. Why are they sitting through, and what is it that they will be able to learn at the end of the session? So when we define that in the first few minutes, we see the interest level of the participant already automatically increases, and they do pay attention in the sessions. And especially now, post COVID, a lot of sessions also happen virtual. So calling out what's in it for them is very, very crucial in the beginning of the session itself. I think the next challenge is you can upskill people, you can teach them concepts, give them knowledge, but change in mindset is very, very important. Change in attitude, bringing in a change in their attitude and mindset for them to apply these learnings to their job role, to their personal life as a person itself becomes is challenging. It takes again a period of time. That is why we bring in a lot of it's important to bring in a lot of relevant examples, relevant case studies that they can relate to, so they understand, okay, if I apply this concept, maybe Eisenhower matrix, in prioritizing my tasks, it is going to make a difference. In the case study, I see a person maybe in a similar role or a similar challenge in his job role has benefited. So I think that again helps you tackle that challenge. So that is why any behavioral training needs at least a few months, because you need to upskill them. They need to understand the concepts. Then you need to bring in a change in their attitude, mindset. Then they start practicing, and that's when it becomes a habit. So yes, but it is a nice and very interesting process, because while we are teaching and training participants, there's a lot of learning we get as well. So we also evolve as trainers. So it's a very interesting process.
I have a lot of questions based on your answer.
Yes.
So the first one that I was thinking of is, when it comes to behavioral training, you are trying to change the behavior of an individual, which probably they have been practicing for the last 20, 30, 10 years, whatsoever it might be. And the expectation is that the change should happen in 6 months or 1 week or 1 day. It could be anything. But then most of the people who come for these trainings, they would already know that there are a couple of things that they could do so that they could get better results, but just that they don't do.
Very true.
It's like they already know something, they come to the training and they just hear what they already know. So how do we actually make them change?
So I think in today's era of social media, era of bite-sized content that we're getting online, I think long training interventions is not something that is accepted. So bite-sized learning comes very handy in such cases, because when you give them small things to learn and apply, they're immediately able to make up their mind to apply it. Instead of giving them 3 or 4 frameworks for just one concept and saying you choose, just tell them this is a very simple concept. Maybe apply this technique to help you structure your thinking. Very simple, for 15-20 minutes intervention. At the end of it, they say you follow this step 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe next time you are trying to solve a problem. And we've seen they do not hesitate as much when you give them very small learning takeaways from session. They're also volunteering quicker to apply them. So I think that has worked, because I think the concentration span or attention span of people is really coming down with the 30-second 60-second reels today. So any learning or anything that people want to gain in terms of knowledge concept, they want it to be in very small sizes. They don't want to spend more time. So I think that is the need of the hour today, and it's very important as trainers for us to cater to this requirement.
Yeah, I was actually about to say everyone has seen one of the Instagram reels or YouTube shorts about do the most difficult task of the day, the first thing, and then you can go for the rest. So like, there are so many things like this. They just learn from these 1 minute shorts. So what is our role in that case? So how do we, you know, motivate them to change or help them change? What is our role as a trainer?
So to bring in behavioral change, like I said, it is to help make them believe they need to change. The minute that attitude
Realization.
comes in, realization comes in, I think they're ready to pull in information. They're ready to absorb concepts. They're ready to listen to people in the first place. So that is the first responsibility of a trainer, to first convince them that this is what maybe you need to focus on, and this is how I can help you with maybe bite-sized content or small interventions, etc.
And how do you think trainers can do that, helping the participants realize that they need to change? How can we do that?
So I think the responsibility of trainer extends beyond the training balls today, training room. It can be the virtual training rooms as well. I think a lot of follow-up sessions with the participants is very important. It can be very informal sessions just to connect with them and understand. So what did you think? Maybe we covered the Eisenhower matrix a week ago. Did you all apply? And we'll have thoughts coming from there, and then it gets into a lot of discussion where they're sharing their experience and how it worked, how it didn't work for them. There, I think we are able to understand if there is a change in their attitude, and it has to happen over a period of time. So I think these informal connects post a training session come very handy. I think I've seen you do that, Balaji. When you do your English training, you give them one-to-one coaching where you connect with them for 15-20 minutes.
Yes.
They message you. These are very informal connects, and I've seen them be very effective with whether it's language training, behavioral training, even technical training for that matter.
Wonderful. So I really enjoy these informal connects. And there are trainers who enter the hall and say that yesterday I saw one of you doing something like this. I think that's something that needs to be changed in order to get better results and so on. These observations that they share. Uh, and yeah, it does create, oh, somebody is noticing what I'm doing, or maybe if I do it differently, I might get better results and so on. I would also like to know when it comes to the one of the worlds within the corporate world, which is driven by Six Sigma, we keep hearing that what cannot be measured cannot be improved. And when it comes to behavior, how do we measure? We can observe maybe, but how do we measure?
So I think there are many techniques, assessment techniques today that a lot of trainers and designers are using. For behavioral, like we just discussed, I think it has to happen over a period of time. And when we assess, it should not be only you're assessing the participant. It should also be the participant's manager, maybe a peer answering questions on behalf of the what we call the 180 or the 270 or the 360-degree assessment. That gives a very clear indication to the participant where he or she stands in terms of a competency. For example, I might think I'm very good in presentation skills, but when my manager or my peer, or it can be somebody whom I don't report to at all, somebody maybe I get mentored from, rates me for the same competency, I get a clear indication on where I stand, and I know if I have any area of improvements in the same. So doing this at least once in a year, or if you are going through an upskilling process, then of course more frequently will really help us understand how the needle has moved for the participant.
The next question that I would like to ask is based on a personal experience. So I just want to know if creating a kind of a spark is a part of behavioral training, because there was a time when I started teaching at a college, training the students on employability skills. And when I asked the students to send their resumes to me, they opened the email, they opened this compose section, they attached the email, entered the email ID and clicked send. There was no subject, no hi, no dear, no email, nothing on the, no content, and then there was no signature. So this worried me a lot. I felt like they don't have basic etiquette and so on. And when I spoke about this to another fellow teacher who used to work with me at British Council, she said just two words which changed my perception completely. She said this in Tamil. She said, "Kuழந்தைங்க தானே Balaji," which just means they are just children, right? Until that moment, I did not look at it that way. Most of those students were from the rural backgrounds. Most of them were first generation graduates. They had no idea about what emails were. So it was my job to help them understand those things and not really complain about it. And just those two words changed my perception about it. And suddenly things became very easy for me. I mean, nothing changed, but the way I perceived it changed a lot. So this is an informal connect which brought such a big change for me. And creating sparks like this or creating moments like this, are these a part of a responsibility of a behavioral skills trainer?
I would say not just behavioral skills. I think any training that we do, whether it's technical, behavioral, language, leadership, I think understanding the persona of the cohort is very, very important. One of the reasons why I said we are academic product managers, and we're not just creating training programs, but we're also thinking of the human factor in whatever we are building for participants, right? So what you just mentioned, I think doing a background survey of the participant, of the cohort, where are they from, what is their qualification, which college, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, makes a lot of difference on their confidence levels, on what upskilling they need. So doing this very simple survey before even designing a training program gives us a lot of inputs on, of course, the training upskilling would be same, but how we will be presenting it to them, right? How you will, whether you will want to do a little more coverage of the foundation topics or not. Of course, this is the technicality of it, but how should be your delivery style will surely vary once you are more aware of the human factor, their background, what are they expecting. When you connect with them informally before a session, I'm sure, just like how you mentioned, the whole perception of how you want to help them in the entire intervention changes. So I think that is very, very important, understanding their background, which is what we call personas, right? You collect persona of your customer. Our customers are the learners here. So collecting these personas gives us very good insights on how we can make this entire learning journey a memorable one for them.
Thank you. You remind me of another interview we had with Mary, who was a former teacher at the British Council, and she said something similar. She did mention that treat your students as the clients. They give them what they want. Find out what they want for that, and then you have to give them what they want. So now, when it comes to giving them what they want, I have this very important question. Do small things make a big difference?
While delivering a training, surely it can be as simple as being there 15 minutes early before the training starts. When you get those few minutes to chat with all the participants who've made that effort to come early to the classroom, right? It makes a lot of difference when you get to connect with them. You thank them for coming early, so they understand. No, you're not just here to just deliver a training and walk out. You're here to connect with everybody, so that they realize we are approachable for them to come and reach out to us tomorrow if they have any questions. It can be as simple as that. It can be as simple as you know being conscious of how attentive everybody is. If anybody is getting bored, you immediately bring in a very small fun activity like an energizer. So these very small things make a lot of difference. I think helps you connect with the trainer better. Make sure the participants not just learn, but learn in a very fun way during the entire learning journey, during the entire training program. So yes, small things make a big difference, because when we are paying attention to the small things, we are paying attention to the human factor in the entire training program, and I think that makes a lot of difference today.
I think people need to be told that small things refers to the human factors that are going to make a big difference. Well, now I would like to move to the part which you are exploring currently, DE&I. Why did you choose this, and what is this? I think many people may not know about it completely yet.
So DE&I is diversity, equity, and inclusion. You'd be seeing a lot of posts on LinkedIn, a lot of talks, seminars, roundtables happening around this topic. I think it has suddenly taken a lot of limelight in the corporate, especially. I will not just say corporate, even in the film industry, you see, there is, because I think there are people from different backgrounds coming into workforce. Not just backgrounds, it can also be, in fact, just a month or two ago, I was delivering a session on women empowerment for one of our clients, where I had around 45 women with around 7 to 8 years of work experience. And when we were all just discussing, we were having a roundtable discussion, very informal, and a lot of them came up to me and said they still see a lot of workplace bias for women. It can be unconscious bias. It can be because the other gender doesn't even realize that they are being biased towards women, but it does exist. Why does it exist? It's because for many years, women were not prominently part of this workforce, and now suddenly in the last decade, when you're seeing so many girls graduating as engineers, doctors, and they are joining the workforce, we have created that gender equality for sure in our workforce to a large extent, but it is also important to make both genders gender intelligent, so that they work together in harmony. Because it is a hard fact that men and women are different, not just physically, but in the way we think as well. Our brains are wired very differently. And when I started reading about this, I realized these are very small nuances. If we are more aware of, I think we'll be more empathetic towards the other gender, and we will understand if there is unconscious bias coming towards us as women, it is because they're not realizing. So having those conversations, letting them know that, see, maybe you did not realize, but I felt you were maybe not giving me the same importance as the other you were giving other colleagues. So you will see your colleagues will immediately try and change their behavior, which can be totally not intentional at all. So I somehow realized that gender diversity at workplace, in colleges, I think across all industries is we're already reaching good numbers. But while we're reaching it, that is not the finish line at all. In fact, that's the starting line. because we also have to educate both the genders, how we are different from each other, how we can bring in that advantage to a team in our own way. We think differently, and that diversity in thinking, that neurodiversity, is very much required for solving the new world problems that are going to come up in the next decade. We need perspectives, different perspectives from different genders, to achieve goals where we are bringing new products, new ideas to this world. So when I deep dived into this, my first step to get into D&I was when I did see workplace bias myself. When I saw it when I had my friends come and tell me about it, so I realized there should be a reason. There should be a root, deep root to this problem, right? So when I started reading, I realized there is, and it is important for everyone to be aware of it, so that we can get past it and work together as one unit going forward. So that is how my interest into D&I came in. Now that I'm reading, I'm also doing a certification from HRCI in D&I. I'm realizing there is more to, there are more learnings in terms of D&I, in terms of giving equal opportunities for differently abled, for people from different sectors of the community now. So I'm also in the learning phase, but I've been fortunate that while I've been learning, I've also been able to deliver sessions around D&I, about around women empowerment, about gender intelligence to different audience. So I'm also learning a lot from them. So it's been a very interesting and enlightening journey so far.
Great, thank you. When you mentioned that this is not the end, but this is the starting point, I suddenly had this question, not just with respect to DNI, in many areas, do we as individuals sometimes get satisfied with mediocrity or get satisfied too soon? What do you think?
True, very true. I think it's happened to me as well. For me, what has worked is, I think everybody has a different way of bringing, keeping themselves motivated so that they excel. They keep striving to excel in whatever they're doing. For me, it's always having the right people around. I always believe it is important to talk to people who are smarter than you, who know more than you. That gives you that keeps me grounded as a person, as a trainer, as a singer, as a music teacher. I think that keeps me grounded. I know I have learned something in the last few months, but I have a long way to go. I still have a lot more to learn, and I don't want to stop here. I know I can get better at this. So having people who have more interesting conversations, who read more, who are exploring more things in maybe the field that we are in, like we and you connect, Balaji, many times. I think that keeps me grounded, that keeps me settling for mediocrity and where I am. I want to do more, I want to learn more, and also having friends who give you very cutthroat feedback on what you're doing is very, very important. Because after you're working in maybe a specific topic or a specific, like D&I, I've been working on it, I've been reading about it, I've been writing articles about it for over almost a year now. But when I send it to people who are more knowledgeable and are maybe driving bigger projects in D&I, I realize there's lot more for me to learn. So getting feedback from such people is very important, and taking that feedback in the right spirit is very, very important. So that is what keeps me going. Again, different things work for different people. So this has really worked for me. So.
Thank you. Thank you. So the last question I would like to ask you is about music, and actually how learning and teaching music helped you in your training career.
So music actually has been part of me since I've known forever, because I've grown up listening to my mom sing, my grandmom teach, then my mom took up teaching music. So I've always woken up to some form of music playing in my house. And even now, after getting married to Major Saab, he's also a huge music lover. He sings, he plays more than 4 to 5 instruments. So every day I wake up to some different genre of music that he's playing. So of course, music has taught me to listen better. I think that is a very important skill required for a trainer. We always think trainers have to speak well. I think, of course, along with speaking well, I think listening is also a very, very important factor of which makes a good trainer, makes a great trainer stand apart from a good trainer. So listening more attentively, listening with empathy has really helped me be a better trainer. That has been one very good influence of music, because when you're listening to music and when I want to maybe sing a specific song, I just don't listen to the tune and the notes. I also have to empathize on what is the emotion that this song is trying to emote. So when I try to do that, I think I have gotten better over years in empathetic listening, and that has really come handy when I'm delivering sessions as a trainer. And because I've grown up around people who've been learned musicians in my family, I think striving for excellence is something I've learned, because unless I get all the notes right in a song, I'm not permitted to sing it on the stage. Even today, I have to sing it. I sing it to my mom once. I even sing it to my husband, and till they feel I have gotten all the notes right and I'm emoting it right, then they say, okay, now you can maybe sing it in front of audience. So I try and apply the same thing to my sessions as well. When I'm delivering a session, maybe a new topic, I try and do a few sessions to my friends, to my colleagues. I get their inputs. It's very important for me to get different perspectives. And then when I'm convinced that this is going to make a difference, add value to the learners, then I go out and deliver it. So somewhere I think music has had a very big impact on me as a trainer. And of course, because I've been performing on stage since my childhood, my parents were very supportive. They made sure I got on the stage at a very, very early stage in my life. Public speaking was never a problem for me. It was easier for me to stand and talk. I only had to work on making sense and adding value. But standing there and talking continuously, maybe getting the audience attention, came more naturally to me because I had been doing it since my childhood for a long time. So that has also helped me to be a better trainer. I hope. I hope my participants also feel the same. My learners feel the same when I'm delivering a session. So
I'm certain they do. I'm certain they do. One more question that I wanted to ask. Could you give 2 or 3 points for someone who wants to get into the field of corporate training? What could they do to start with?
So to be a corporate trainer, they should be open to learning first. They should have a growth mindset, a learning mindset. Very, very important. I think a lot of my mentors have told me, read a little more about this topic. That is something, even if I have delivered the session 100 times, the 101st time when I go to their feedback, they say, read a little more about it, because every time you read, you talk to people, you get more information. So to be a trainer, we have to be I think a continuous learner in the entire journey, right from you start till the end of time. So we have to be open to learning, of course. And I think we need trainers who are passionate about what they're doing, because that makes a lot of difference. So if somebody wants to be a trainer, please, I would request them to think, if they're really passionate about it, do they really like answering the same questions over and over again? You might have 10 different learners asking you the same question in the next 10 days. We should have the patience to answer them with the same empathy, with the same enthusiasm. That is also very, very important. So I would say learning mindset, and second, patience and passion for what we're doing is very, very important. So if they have all of this, I'm sure they will do a great job.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Preethi, for answering all the questions. Most of these questions are the questions that I had. I was wondering what would be the answers for these. And I'm certain that lots of people, or at least one person who is watching this, would get benefited from this. I think that's our aim. Even if one person gets benefited, I'm extremely happy. Thank you so much for taking time to be here. You had to move from your home to the Gurudwara to get a better network, and that is how we are doing this interview. Thank you so much for being so accommodative, and I'm certain that it's going to help a lot of people. Thank you so much for answering all the questions patiently.
Thank you, Balaji. Thank you so much. You made me think of a lot of things that I didn't know I was doing as a trainer. So thank you for that as well.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.